New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo announcing when most COVID rules will end in the state. Listen.
When we hit 70%, then I feel comfortable saying to the people of this state, we can relax virtually all restrictions.
Joining us to discuss, Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, a Republican from New York. Congresswoman, great to see you here. As noted by the governor there in his press conference, we are 1.4% away, the vaccination rate to get back to normal. Where do you think this number is coming from? Why do you think he's so adamant on reaching 70%? Is it necessary?
I think everything with this governor is arbitrary. And the fact that we are just 1.4% away, set to his arbitrary figure, just shows you that he's just grasping, trying to take control of the state. And I think that if you look at what's happening across the country, those states that have administered the most doses are states like New York and California, and yet they still have the most stringent restrictions put in place. So, states like Florida and Texas and so many others along the coast, they have actually been relatively open, much more open than New York, and yet they haven't reached that 70% figure. So this is, again, just an attempt by the governor to maintain control and put forward arbitrary restrictions.
Well, you mentioned the restrictions here, and he said in New York you can get rid of the face masks when you're outdoors, but indoors and specifically inside the classroom, kids must still be wearing masks if their schools require it here. What do you make of that decision? What science have you seen that might point to that ruling?
There has been no science that points to that ruling, which again is another way that we are seeing the governor being very controlling of the situation, Mayor de Blasio as well. Children, we already know that they are not affected by this virus. We have the teachers who are being vaccinated. There is no reason why the students should be required to wear masks in schools. We've already discussed this multiple times. Unfortunately, we can't get them to use any common sense here. But parents that I represent are very upset about this, and we're going to continue to push for some type of common sense. And look, if it's going to be the 70% mark, that means all the mask mandates, we're going to be there by September. So I think that's the good news for parents who are concerned about their students having to be required to wear masks all day long in the classroom.
I want to switch gears, talk to you about some comments made by a colleague of yours on the other side of the aisle, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, accusing the U.S. of some crimes against humanity. Listen to this.
I would emphasize that in Israel and Palestine, this includes crimes committed by both the Israeli security forces and Hamas. In Afghanistan, it includes crimes committed by the Afghan national government and the Taliban.
She had also linked in the U.S. and America as well. What do you make of Congresswoman Omar's comments equating, or at least comparing, America to Hamas and the Taliban?
Well, I was actually in that committee meeting, and it was shocking to hear her compare the United States of America to terrorist organizations, Hamas and the Taliban. I mean, this is questioning America's humanity. Someone who came to this country as a refugee, thanks to America's generosity, thanks to our humanity. So, somebody who's going to question her ability to come to this country as a refugee and then ascend to the United States House of Representatives to question America's humanity, to question how truly special this nation is wrong. She should not be a member of the House of Representatives if she feels this way about the country who gave her refuge.
I can't help but notice, Congresswoman, the American flag you have that is behind you right now. I know we've seen in recent months flags other than the American flag flying at U.S. embassies abroad, including in the month of June, the Rainbow Pride flag. We had also seen towards the end of May the BLM, Black Lives Matter organization's flag flying at these embassies abroad. I hear you're working on an effort to remove these flags from flying at the embassy. Talk to me about that effort and what sort of traction you've gained.
But during that same foreign affairs hearing, I asked Secretary Blinken straight out, is this going to be a change in U.S. policy where we're now going to be flying flags of political organizations at our embassies on foreign lands? I believe strongly, as I believe most Americans do, that it should be just the United States flag that is flying at our embassies, okay? The only other exception should be another government flag or military flag. But in no way should there be flags of political organizations, particularly Black Lives Matter, an organization that is a Marxist organization that supports defunding the police, that accuses our U.S. military of being racist, an organization that doesn't want elected officials that disagree with, like me, in the House of Representatives. They want to expel us. They want to take away the First Amendment from President Trump and prohibit him from ever returning to the Oval Office. Their flag should not be flying at our embassies, nor should the flag of any political organization. And so my bill would prohibit that. And unfortunately, the secretary, when I asked him that question, doubled down on it and said it is the essence of our democracy. I mean, flying a Marxist organization's flag at our embassies is not the essence of democracy. It's quite contrary to everything that America stands for.
All right. Well, you'll have to keep us updated on how the bill might progress. Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis joining us live. Thank you, Congresswoman. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.